What's up?
Hey everyone. Okay, so I've had a little something on my mind today that I can share with y'all. I bought a blanket, and on this blanket it says she designed a life she loved. She designed a life she loved, something like that. Um, and and I really love it. It just the thought that we have the ability to create and to design the life that we love. And lately, I've really been thinking about that. Like, the choices that I make, I'm like, is this choice helping me to design the life that I love? And today I was recognizing how I have a situation, like a circumstance happening in my life that I don't love, that I'm not loving it. And I'm thinking, and I've been thinking, like, what am I doing? What choice am I making that is continuing to create this in my life? Because it's not something that I want. It's not something that I love. And so what am I doing? I recognize that a lot of times in our lives that other people can influence, can have an impact on our lives and stuff, but we can make choices that bring us the life that we want. And I recognize that when we're living outside of the life that we want to have, that we are not creating boundaries. It's truly about boundaries for ourselves. And I'm someone who I have not had boundaries in my life. I just haven't. I've had no boundaries. I want to please everyone in my life. I don't want to upset anyone. I don't want to rock anyone's boats. I want to keep the peace in my life. And so I have not had boundaries in my life. I've just allowed the flow of life and what everyone else is doing and choices that they're making. I've just allowed it. And a lot of times, I get frustrated and I get aggravated and I'm not loving it, and I'm just recognizing truly that I am creating the situations in my life that I don't like because I don't have boundaries set up for myself to create what I want. And because I'm afraid of hurting other people, I'm afraid of upsetting other people. I don't want things to get uncomfortable. I don't want, and it's like sometimes we have to just let it get uncomfortable, for us to grow and for us to create the lives that we want for ourselves, for what is best for us. Sometimes we have to rock other people's worlds, and that's on them. It is truly on them. Like, if someone wants to be in my life, then they're going to respect those boundaries. If my boundaries upset them, well, then that's really that's something that they have to deal with and move through for themselves. And do they want to continue to be in my life, or do they not? And either way, I'm creating the life that I want and that brings me joy and that brings me love. And that way I can love people better. I can be there for people more in a way healthier way. Because if we don't have boundaries, it's just not healthy. It's just not. And so that's just something that is a little been on my mind today.
Yeah, it
Thoughts?
made me think about Manifest Your Destiny, some book by Wayne Dyer, I believe. But the power of thought and the manifesting, calling forth, creating your reality. The whole boundaries thing. I haven't spent much time with boundaries, because I've never really, it's more like people have had to create boundaries around me. And I don't know that much about boundaries. I just don't have many external factors that come into my life where I have to create this environment. Like, nope, I have to shut that out. I do have boundaries when it comes to places I can go, people I can be around, and that. So yeah, I have created boundaries. It's just some extremes, actually. But when it comes to people that I love, that I want close to me, boundaries with those kind of people, I've never felt the need to do that, which is important in relationships. If you're going to create the world that you love, the life that you love, then you're going to have to demand or just say, I will not accept this in my life, and it's up to you to change those things. Or you allow it to continue and you stay in something that is miserable, or you do something because you've always been taught that that's the way you do it. So you continue this life of not putting up those boundaries that are necessary. But yeah, Manifest Your Destiny is awesome. And I believe it. The Secret, all those books about if you think it, if you focus on it, and if you put all of your passion into something, you can create whatever you want in your life. And I really believe that. The universe is going to give to you what you put out. You know, it's just the law of attraction. But I totally believe that you can create whatever world you want. I mean, that's been proven to me time and time again in my life. You know? Like today, my life is just, I've got so much peace, and I mean, life is good. I don't have anybody that I feel like I need to put a boundary up around. I don't know. I have a lot of peace in my life today, and it's a good place to be. I definitely don't want to. And I know I'm gonna go back and, you know, just the way life is, I'm gonna have stressful moments and go through times. But the more that I'm at peace with myself, and the more that I'm making choices that are making progress in my life, I think the easier that those challenges come, because I know that I'm living right, and this is just an obstacle in my life that if I keep doing things right, it's going to pass. But yeah, you mentioned boundaries, and
Yeah, it's not something that I've ever had in my life, and so I couldn't even teach someone how to create boundaries, because it's something that I'm having to learn for myself and recognize that I need in my life.
And I said something in the last few months about boundaries I think it was just you and me talking, but boundaries are created so that those boundaries can be removed. Like, you don't create boundaries to like put yourself in a box or put somebody else in a box and like have this wall there. You put up a boundary, and you set up something so that healing can take place, or people can get right, and that boundary can be removed and things can be healed.
Yes.
However God wants to heal them, and however that picture looks whenever that time comes.
Right. It's a change. It's like, it's saying, I'm not going to do this anymore.
I'm done.
Something needs to change in order for us to move forward. Like, yeah, definitely. Because I can see that with certain boundaries, I mean, it is like, it doesn't, once something changes, the boundary just falls away.
Yeah.
It's not needed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I do recognize that with codependency, whenever, you know, we're really in codependent relationships, that we lose our what was it? We want to be interdependent, not codependent. And so when we are wrapped in the codependency, we're just so enmeshed in one another, and it's just so unhealthy. And so in order to have interdependence, sometimes, especially with those codependent relationships, we do have to create some kind of catalyst for change. And that comes, I'm coming to recognize, it comes in the form of boundaries sometimes. Like, this is what I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to tolerate this anymore. Because especially with codependency, we create it. Those of us who are codependent, our choices are creating the dysfunction. We are part of this dance, and as soon as we step out of it, as soon as we take control and we want something different, our world changes, and it's gonna change the other person's world too. And that's the fear of codependence. We don't ever want to upset people.
Yeah.
We don't want to cause disruption, It's comfortable in the dysfunction. It's comfortable in doing things how they've always been done. But, I recognize just little things that pop back up, and I'm like, oh, I don't love that. And I am continuing to create it. And I am the only one that can make the change for my life. And that's hard.
Yeah,
that's really hard.
For sure. And the only way to have a healthy relationship with anything is to have two independent people that are not dependent on each other, and that's what creates interdependency. Is two healthy people coming together and both bringing that positive energy and both lifting each other up instead of one. So you get on this, we've been going through this process of change and progress and just wanting to better ourselves, and have to accept that not everybody is in that process. Not everybody's ready for it. Some people are way ahead of us and probably have boundaries on us because they're tired of waiting for us to get to where they're at, but you cannot have a healthy relationship with a sick person. You can't. And a person that gets healthy within an unhealthy relationship, there's definitely a need for boundaries to say, I'm just not going to accept these certain things in my life anymore. And, that comes with a lot of consequences. I mean, you don't want to rock the boat. You don't want to upset anybody. Well, do you want to create the life that you love? Do you want to live a life that you love? I do. I want a life that is full of peace, and I want to be in relationships that are interdependent, where I'm not trying to get something from you. They're not trying to get something from me. It's just, it's good to see you. Yeah. And there's a flow of energy that's just, both of us are being brought up. We're both growing together. But dysfunction, whenever in any relationship, whenever one person changes, it causes a lot of friction in the relationship. I was the one that was unwilling to change forever. I was the one that didn't have a problem. Everybody else had a problem. And eventually people just get tired of that. And they either have to put a big wall in front of me and say, I'm not going to tolerate you anymore, or that sickness continues. So as those walls were put up, well, I realized I'm just a miserable person. And I either need to change, do something with myself, or I'm just going to continue being a miserable person. And the great thing about my situation is I'm learning to be a happy person, completely independent. And if I would have stayed in a relationship and tried to get healthy, I don't know if a person can, it can happen. I mean, a relationship can become healthy, but it doesn't happen together. It happens with two individuals doing it on their own separately. And then that relationship can heal and both can be healthy. But I had to get healthy on my own. Whether I was still in a relationship or not, it's something that I had to do on my own. Nobody could get healthy for me.
Yeah, it takes a lot of self-awareness to recognize that there's even a need to change.
For sure.
You know, and it can be challenging. It can be hard because we are all at different places with our consciousness, like with being aware of things, and so, I mean, that's where a lot of patience comes in, and love and acceptance and letting go of our own control of how fast another person's, you know, healing and everything.
Not judging it.
Yeah.
For anything.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just completely giving it to God and saying, I want to create a beautiful world, and you can have that with you. You know, you can have that with you no matter where you go.
Right.
No matter who you're with, no matter how dysfunctional people are behaving around me, I can still carry that serenity within me, where they're just not going to upset me because I know that this isn't happening to me. It's just something that's happening around me. And I've just learned not to take anything personal, you know, not to, I think that's another of the 4 agreements. Just, I mean, nobody's ever done anything to me. A lot of people have done things at my expense for them, but they weren't doing it to me. They were doing it for them at my expense. And I allowed things to happen. But at my conscious, where I'm at today, at my conscious woke state, whatever you want to call it, my awareness, there's a lot of things that people just cannot do to me today. There's a lot of things that I just won't tolerate. That wall will be put up quick if I'm put in the situation, because I know me. I'm growing to know who I am. I'm growing to know what is healthy for me, what is good for me, what's not, what is going to help me progress, and what's going to hold me back. And I mean, relationships are just so difficult. I'm so grateful that in this time of getting clean and getting my life back and recovery, that I really have been blessed not to have a lot of other stressors in my life, because I really have all the time in the world to focus on me. And it sounds selfish, but I'm not doing it for any other reason other than to be a better person for this world. You know, but when it comes to that dependent type relationships, that's not something that a person can carry forever. You cannot. I mean, you're dependent when you're a kid, and you have to become independent and then interdependent. Yeah.
You said that people don't do things to you, and you know, like you don't respond or whatever. It's so funny because today on my way home, someone flipped me the bird. I flipped the bird, and I don't even know why. Like, I was totally oblivious to it, but they were so caught up in their anger and their whatever they were experiencing that they flipped me off, and I just laughed.
It is.
And I just felt compassion for them. I was like sending them love.
It's
you know?
sad.
Because I was like, man, they have so much anger within them that they just expressed it at me, who's completely in my own happy world. And, you know, it's like, had I seen them, I totally would have let them in front of me, because I just do, you know. But I didn't have any type of, like, I didn't want to flip them off or do anything, you know. It was like, it was not done to me. I recognized that it's something that was within them, that was coming up out of them at me. And that is how life is. That is how people's triggers are. And it's just funny how traffic and being on the road really brings that out of people.
And it's so great not to have to react. Not only not to have to react, but just naturally not react.
Yeah, totally.
Like there's no stimulus.
Like, I felt sad for them.
Yeah, there's nothing going on within me. And it's happened a couple times to me in the last week too, where honking or like just not letting me merge in, and it's like, why? I'm not judging it, but I mean, what? Okay,
be kind.
I can get behind you. It's all good, and it's just naturally, man just wants to serve self.
And you see it on the road so much.
It's a best example of it is road rage and people in their bubble, and they, think that nobody knows who they are because they're in their little, it's like, man, that's who you are.
Right.
I mean, who you are comes out a lot behind the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And it's just so unnecessary. But everybody's at their own place, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I love that today, it really just doesn't bother me. I can just let people in. And that is because that is what is within me. Now, I do have days, like if I do have a day where I'm in traffic and I'm feeling aggravated and I'm feeling like anxious or whatever, I know that is something within me that I need to sit with, that I just need to sit in meditation and just think like, what is going on? Because it has nothing to do with the situation. It just doesn't. And that is, again, like, how I started this, just recognizing what in our lives are we not loving. Because if there's something in our life that we do not love, then we have to look at ourselves. We have to look at what is going on within us, that we are continuing to create that life that we don't love. Because God wants us to love our lives. That's truly what we are and who we are. We are love. And if there are things going on in our lives that we're not able to continue to have that flow of love in us, then we really need to sit back and like look and look at what we can do, because it's not about anybody else in the world. It's about what can we do to create the life that we love. Because if we are creating the life that we love, it brings us joy. It brings us happiness. And then that just overflows to other people. And even if we may have to upset people with our boundaries because things are not the way that we want them or like them to be, or we know that God wants different for us, then, as we change, as we're doing the work that we need to do to make the change in our lives, and we are happy and we have that joy, it's going to create that in other people's lives. And it may not be right at first, but it will. And I just need to hear myself say that.
Or it might not be the person you want it to help, but it is going to help other people. Yeah. It's going to help those that are ready to have that conscious shift, that change of mentality, just awareness, being aware of the self-destructive things that we do that keep us from living the life that we want to create. And I was just thinking when you were talking, like today, some days I have these just days of lack, and I need this, and how am I going to do it? But today I'm just I'm so connected today, and it's enjoy it while I've got it, because I know that there's tomorrow I might wake up completely disconnected, wondering how I'm going to eat and stuff. And it's like, why do I even ever do that? I've never gone hungry. I've never gone broke. I've never been homeless. I mean, I've done a lot of things that I could have been, but I never have been. And why are those fears there? Because I stopped trusting God, and I start wanting to take back the power and be in control. And when I'm in control, I'm lacking. But when I turn my life over to God and say, whatever you want me to do, I'll do it, well, then all of a sudden the whole universe is mine, because I am the universe. I mean, we're all part of it. And there's just abundance in everything. But relationships, and in any type of relationship, if there's not two healthy people both trying to progress and move forward, then there's definitely it's definitely a difficult situation. And I was that person for so long, people wanting to progress, and it's like, I got to either cut Corey out of my life or I'm never going to grow, And now it's, here I am, and I got a long way to go, but like I said before, I sure am there, It's
Right.
I got a long way to go, but I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, surrendering is one of those things that, like, it changes our whole perspective. Because as you were talking, I was thinking about how, our choices are what separate us from God. Like, we cause that separation. But when we surrender, we become one with Him. And it's just when we're one with Him, everything is possible. Like, there are no limits. There is no lack. There's just none of the stuff that we humans, create in our lives that causes us to be unhappy. And it's like when we surrender and we become one with Him, our whole life changes. That is something that I have definitely learned throughout this past year and a half, that we've, like, come together and we've really been working on these things consistently, and, like, I'm aware of it daily. And, like, over the past week or so, past couple weeks, I've been really off. I've been lower. I've been down. Because a lot of the choices that I've made with my body, and I just recognize it, and it causes me to not want to make those choices because I just love to feel good. I love to be one. I love to be in the spirit in a way that I just feel like just love, like where traffic does not bother me, where other people's problems don't affect me, where I'm just able to express love and be love and have patience and just be one with God, and allow the Spirit to flow through me and to just be what He wants me to be. Yeah.
It's all about love.
It is.
I've thought a lot about, like, I've always said, oh, well, I've progressed this much. I'm doing better. I'm progressing. I'm raising my standard. I'm doing these things. And it's like, I really don't think that I've progressed up. I have shifted sideways. I've had a shift. And, people could say, well, these are some of the things you've done. These are the things. And it's like, no, I never have. That did happen once upon a time to a person that looks a lot like me. But it's just, I don't have to be that person. I don't have to even acknowledge that person. And it's not denial. It's not that duality that they talk about. It's not the non-duality. I can acknowledge that I have a past. I can acknowledge that those things happened, but it's not me. I don't have to say that is me. And that's that separation from past that separation from, that's just not who I am. Today, this is who I am. And that's what I mean when I say it's not like I've progressed up. I have shifted. And I no longer have a past. I no longer have these guilts and shames and burdens and what I could be right now and who I should have been and what I should. It's just not there, because I have shifted to a different consciousness, to a different frame of just being, to where it's just non-existent. I don't have to, not that I don't have to or have to, I don't have to or I have to, it just doesn't exist. I'm not fighting it. I already accepted everything. I've been through it. I've done that work of what people call shadow work or repentance, or looking at your dark self and seeing where I went wrong, my triggers, but that's just not who I am anymore. I am a different person today. And I don't say that to convince anybody. I don't say that to convince myself. Although saying it out loud does create something that's very powerful. You know, it creates a stronger awareness. And saying it, if you want to create something, if you want to create a habit or create a certain characteristic, saying you are something in every different type of way, say it angry, say it happy, say it sad, say it in different ways, it gets into your subconscious. It becomes part of you because you're feeling it in every different type of way. So you're becoming that. You're becoming that in any type of emotion. So if I get angry, well, I'm still who I am today. And I don't have to stay in that angry. When I'm happy, I'm still who I am today. I'm not that person that used to exist.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's just a shift. It's a shift of consciousness from, you know, a victim of, oh man, why did I have to be an addict? Why did my DNA say that I was going to be hooked on opiates the first time I ever did them? You know, well, that's something that happened to somebody once upon a time, but to me, I'm aware. I'm not closing the door on the past. I'm aware of it, but it's a past that just it's not part of me.
Right. It's just not being a victim of it.
Yeah.
You know, because we're not victims. We are creators.
Yeah.
We are creators of this life. And we've learned so much from this world and this society and just everything that's just so not true. And it's just, I love coming to understand and to see and to be aware of like truly who we are and what we're capable of, and that we have the power to change. We could change anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had something said to me by somebody. And that's as far as I'll go on that. But I had something said to me by somebody about change isn't just going to happen because I've been who I am for millions of years. I mean, it's not just this life. It's not like these habits that I have. It was almost like a justification for a certain behavior, for a way of being. And I just don't buy that at all. I can change. Even if I do have habits that I've carried for eons of whatever you want to call it, incarnations, whatever you want to call it. If I've had these habits and these traits and these things that I'm hung up on for billions of years, and it's just deep embedded in me, I can change that right now in 1 second. And that's the great thing about free agency. I don't have to be a victim of some habit that I've had for 1 billion years, or a behavior that is a part of who I've been my whole life. I can change that immediately. And a lot of things in my life, a lot of my thinking, a lot of just my judgments, just since we started doing this, a lot of things have it's not even like I'm not fighting anything. It just doesn't exist. It's a non-issue.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know?
And if things do come up, then it just gives us opportunities to practice.
And
when
progress.
you become aware of it, that is where you can change it.
Yeah. And if something is still hurting you, and if something is still a big stressor and really just unhealthy, you're going to live with it or you're going to change it. And it could hurt a lot. It could hurt a lot, and there could be a lot of fear. And when it comes to people that we love, it's like, you know, so many people could have cut me off and said, I'm done, and I would have ended up in a ditch somewhere or in prison or whatever, but my bottom would have showed up 10, 15, 20 years earlier in my life.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes we think we're doing things for our betterment so that we can progress and grow, and that we're going to hurt somebody else, when in all reality, the only thing we're doing is we're allowing them to progress. We're allowing them to finally become independent and take responsibility for their behaviors and progress in the way that they need to progress, and allow God to guide them in their life. And that codependency stuff, it's just keeping people from growing on their own. You want to be their savior. You want to be the one that fixes
and helps, and
that's God's job. That's their job, and that's their relationship with God. You know, and to separate God from them, it's impossible, because they are God. God is in us all. You know, but that consciousness is never going to arrive as long as you're there to save them from it. As long as that codependent person is there to save me from dying, to save me from going into detox, to save me from whatever it is that I'm about to do, it's keeping God from being in control. Somebody is stepping in and playing that role of God instead of allowing God to take over my life.
Yeah.
Codependency is powerful, and you know, like I've said before, I don't judge it, and I'm grateful for those that have been codependent in my life. But in retrospect, I've learned a lot to where I feel bad for my kids, because they're not going to have the same kind of cushion that I've been given in life. You know, and I'm still going to love them to death. I'll love them behind bars. I'll love them however. You know, that love they'll never doubt. But there's things that I won't do, because I know that it'll keep them dependent. It'll keep them sick. So, changing behavior isn't easy.
No, it's not.
Especially when it's a lifelong behavior, you know. I mean, since we were kids, you know. Life is just breaking free of all those things that have held me down, and having that shift in life to where that is just no longer me. I'm so grateful. I think I said that last time on here. I'm so grateful.
Me too.
It's the only way to live. To live in gratitude. And no need to be right. No need to convince anybody of anything. But I sure do want to share it with others, because I know how much happiness it brings me. You know. So. Yep. If there are any walls that people have put up around me, walls are only meant to help people grow, to allow people time to grow. But those walls are meant to be broken down. There's no reason to have any negativity with anybody in this world. You know, to have bad feelings towards anybody, even Hitler. It just, why? What does that do for me? You know, I can go on for that forever, but I mean, you know, and end on Hitler. But I know that's an extreme. But You know, why have any negative feelings towards anybody? People have done what they've done, and that's it.
Yeah.
And all I can do is work on being a better me. Life is good. Sure is a beautiful day. Another beautiful day. Love y'all.
All right. Bye, y'all.